Hello, chart watchers and DecisionPoint faithful. Welcome to this Monday, June 21st episode of DecisionPoint. My name is Erin Swenlin, and I'm here with my father, Carl Swenlin, and we're going to show you the charts that we think are the most important going into this week. It's definitely been an interesting last week, and today's trading turned out to be pretty interesting as well, but we're going to get into that when Carl goes over the SPY and the indicators. I didn't welcome you in though. How's everything going, Dad?
As good as can be expected.
All right, there we go.
Right.
All right, so we'll be doing, you'll be doing the SPY and the indicator overview. I'm gonna look at the FAANG Plus is what we call them. So obviously the FAANG everybody's familiar with, but we also add a few stocks in there. For example, Microsoft, that really also are large caps and move the market. But I think it's important to take the pulse of those FAANG Plus stocks because since they do tend to lead the market, we need to know what their charts are telling us. And then I will finish with my diamonds of the week. I have a couple of interesting ones to share with you moving into next week, into this week and next week. Last week, one of the ones I had talked about, Fubo, ended up with a really nice breakout today. It's saying, it spent most of last week consolidating, but that one's looking pretty good. So you might want to go check that chart out. All right, well, let's get it going. At this point, I know that we don't have too many changes on our scoreboards. Do want to remind everybody this special will be going away soon. If you want to save 50% off your first month, just use coupon code SAVE50. That's for any of our subscriptions, and it gives you a really great chance to try us out. We have archives going back to 2019, so you'll definitely be able to tell what we do and whether it's for you. And then, as I was saying, we have no changes on our signal board right now. This is telling us how many of these sectors, how many are on intermediate term silver cross buy signals. So the 20 is above the 50-day EMA. And the long-term trend model, these are the golden cross buy signals. And that tells us that the 50-day EMA is above the 200-day on all of the sectors. But let's go ahead and I'm going to just hand the screen back over to you, Dad, and you can get us started with a look at what's going on in the market.
Okey doke. Okay. We were wondering if there was a climax day today because it was such a large up day, almost 1.5%. And there is, and I'll get into that later. There shortly. The volume was not all that great today, though. That's interesting aspect of this. Let's go right to the climax chart so we can see what happened there. Okay, we've gotten new highs. Didn't do anything today particularly, but we got net AD really spike. This is didn't reach the threshold, but it is up there. So without this volume, what else is leading me to that conclusion? And look at the volume ratios, and wow, here you get, we had a really big spike on Friday. For what we had on Friday, we had a downside exhaustion climax. Today, we have an upside initiation climax. So we should expect the new high, or the all-time highs to be challenged probably tomorrow. That doesn't mean it's a beginning. It could be the beginning of a trend, another up leg, but we don't know that at this point. But certainly this tells us to look for something more to the upside tomorrow. We have wrong menu. Okay. We don't have the New York Stock Exchange in yet. So you see the kind of spike it got. It was only up at 6-1 upside downside on Friday, whereas today in the S&P 500 total volume, we had a 14-1 upside. We'll have lower than that today, but I'm sure we'll see a spike in that as well. Our short-term indicators have ticked up, and the stocks above the 20 EMA, that hasn't updated yet, but we'll probably see that turn up as well. This is interesting. Let me put a zoom on that. Okay, an uptick in the bullish percent index, but the Silver Cross index is still heading downward. It has updated for today, and it's still heading downward. Golden Cross ticked down on Friday, it's ticked up today, but it's still quite over bought. But this could improve. We could see this tick up tomorrow. I got this blue dotted line through here. Notice it is down to that now. That line was drawn across this high right in here, this top on the Silver Cross index that coincided with the top before that bear market. And so we're just down to that level. If it starts dropping below that, then we would, I would be more concerned about a downside. ITVM, it looks like I'm gonna have to get a zoom on that too.
It's been getting difficult, I have to say.
Yeah, they're still going down. They're still going down. PMO is decelerating, but it's still down on the downside. Notice we got the negative divergences against these tops and against these rising tops here. Let's go to gold.
Yes, lots of action there in gold and the dollar this past week.
Right. Note we broke down out of this rising wedge and clustered up here for a little bit to then crashed last week, and now we have an uptick. I'm not sure that the decline is complete yet, and there's really not much help on the longer term charts. Let me just look at them here. No, obviously there's congestion in here that you could find support, and maybe it already has. I don't know. This is a little more encouraging. This would be the rising trend line that we would hope would catch it before it goes lower. But the horizontal support is the more significant, and certainly we would hope to see that stop right there. This is a weekly chart. Weekly PMO has topped. That's not a good sign. Okay. No, the dollar, obviously, certainly kind of the opposite of what the gold is doing. Remembering that the gold depends on in part what the dollar does. The dollar does not depend on what gold does. But the dollar is improving. Let me run to the 1-year chart at least. Yeah, this is looking encouraging, and at least see it maybe go up to this level at least. USO, the oil market, it's did really well today in our ETF tracker. What we had at the top were the oil stocks and commodity stocks doing well, or ETFs, I should say. I do keep a weekly chart with West Texas Intermediate crude, and that gives us an idea what the oil is selling for per barrel. Kind of lose it in the USO chart. So looks like this is around 75 a barrel up here would be where possibly we'll hit some resistance. Excuse me there. Long bonds, kind of a dish, a saucer here, and which is bullish. Bitcoin, interesting. It's struggling right now. We have a 50%, over 50% decline for the top, which is a good milestone for declines to end. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will end, but it's a good time to start looking for a bottom. It's certainly struggling here, trying to make it. However, this is still a reverse flag, and it promises that lower prices. This rounded top, and again, that's bearish. And the Chinese shut down Bitcoin today in some respect. I can't remember exactly what it was, but so that didn't help the situation. The 10-year Treasury yield is it's really struggling at right around this level right here of support, horizontal support, and we have this falling wedge formation, which promises that it's going to move higher ultimately. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Let me see. I wanted to show S&P sectors. The top sector today was energy. And as I said, the energy stocks, energy-related stocks did really well, up 4.6%. And this is a rising wedge, so possibly we're going to see downside out of this. It doesn't mean it's going down to this level, which I can't imagine it will. With the shutdown of so many of the promising sources that we had, prices are going higher, and it's more scarce. And yeah, I think that does it.
All right. Do you mind looking at the gold miners chart? I always get asked about that one in the trading room.
Not at all. I always forget. Yeah. Not particularly.
Yeah.
Not particularly good. We've had a nice bottom here and a promising uptrend. The trend line was broken, and right now things are pointing down. I guess here's a good thing, that the stocks above 20 is at 0, and that's as oversold as it gets.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it won't linger there, unfortunately. I'm sure that it's the cryptocurrencies that are messing up gold. I just think that with what's going on, we should be seeing much better action in gold, and it's just not good at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see those participation numbers after today's rally.
Right. Yeah. These haven't updated yet, but they're definitely in the oversold region of the range.
All right. I will grab the screen and let's look at some of the FAANG stocks. All right, so we know that the FAANG stocks, and like I said, we add a few more in here, but we know these guys lead the market. And if they're going to do well, more than likely they will take everybody with them, even if they're not doing well. And I think that's really what's going on right now, because, you know, you look at a chart like Apple and it is very positive. You've got, you know, this sort of double bottom. You've got the 20, 50-day EMA positive crossover, positive RSI. I mean, the PMO is on a buy signal, is now moved into positive territory. And you can see the outperformance, of course, of Apple against the S&P and against its industry group. So Apple still looks really good.
You know, at the beginning of trading today, the FAANGs, the high tech stocks were the big tech stocks, I could say, they were bouncing very weak bounce, and the market was generally that way too. And I'm not sure what happened, what kind of news, but you know, suddenly after about an hour or two of trading, things were really up in a big way.
Mm-hmm. Adobe, if I recall, that chart's not looking quite as, no, it's not Adobe, it's the next one. So Adobe broke out, it's heading up higher. Could be looking at a reverse island maybe forming here, but that sure looks like a flag to me. RSI is very overbought, so that could lead into a decline, but so far the PMO is still rising. I don't really see any deceleration. And again, it's completely outperforming the market. Amazon. Amazon has hit overhead resistance and is turning down. RSI is now out of overbought territory, so that's a positive. But you can see just relatively, you know, obviously with today's nice move on the S&P, you can see all of the performance indicators moving downward. But, you know, you had this double bottom, it pretty much is completed, and now it's hit overhead resistance and it does look like it's going to turn down. So at least one of these is looking a little bit more weak. Facebook has definitely looked weak. It does have a positive RSI, but as you can see, the PMO is pointed downward, and you can see that it is starting to underperform its industry group, and it's working in line with the S&P, which is, you know, that's fine. But as I said in the trading room, we all want to beat the S&P, so I want to find stocks that are performing better than it. For Google, this one looks pretty good, but it's getting toppy, and you can see the PMO just gave us that sell signal. I mean, we still have a positive RSI and it's still holding the 20-day EMA. So it hasn't, you know, fallen apart, but you can see that Google is starting to underperform its industry group, which is doing very, very well. It's still outperforming the S&P at this point. So, you know, it's looking toppy, but at this point, it's still holding support. This one, MasterCard, looks fantastic here with a nice breakout. It did close beneath this area of overhead resistance, but as you can see, brand new positive RSI, brand new buy signal on the PMO, and we're now starting to see it outperform somewhat the S&P. It's been outperforming its industry group for a little while here. Microsoft. This one looks pretty good. Again, they're all hitting their all-time highs, and that's a perfect place for them to turn down. If we get the breakout, that can certainly fuel higher prices in the market for a little while. But a lot of these haven't broken above those all-time highs in a decisive or significant kind of way. But Microsoft still looks good. I mean, positive RSI, PMO on a buy signal and rising. The only issue, I think, is that it's just not the best performer in its group of software. There are other stocks that are better. But the main point is that it's still showing rising momentum. Netflix is also showing rising momentum, and it's actually forming a double bottom here. But I wouldn't get too excited until I saw a really good breakout above that 50-day EMA and above that confirmation line for the double bottom. And it's looking good. PMO is rising, but the RSI is negative right now. And as you can see, it's not been performing that well against the S&P. So we've got a little bit of problems here on Netflix, NVIDIA, and Visa. NVIDIA has been just taking off. The semiconductor space has been really good. Obviously, today there must have been news. We do have a fairly sizable pullback here, but haven't really lost the rising trend here. But you can see the PMO is starting to top out a little bit here in overbought territory. So as far as performance goes, obviously, it's been doing quite well. And then Visa, MasterCard had a great looking chart. Visa is not quite as good as the MasterCard chart. Excuse me. It's dry here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So RSI is positive, but notice that PMO has got that sell signal. It is ticking up, but I mean, it was a 1 and almost 3/4% gain today. But again, you can see it's starting to, it's performing about as well as the S&P. But when we look at all of these FAANG Plus stocks, I mean, what is your overall feeling about them, Dad? Put you on the spot.
Let me take the screen back briefly, okay? The market in general, I just feel like that it's still stalled,
Mm-hmm.
We talked, if you listen to the business channels, you would have thought we had a huge 1987 style crash in here. I mean, it's like, oh, the sell-off. I mean, this is like, God, what is it? It's 2.5% max. It's just ridiculous. So it's still struggling to get higher, and we're getting a lot of chopping around. So I'm not seeing a major upheaval. That's my own, opinion of this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have this, this short-term initiation climax. I mean, we could still see some action there, but even on those best FAANG stocks, a lot of them are up against overhead resistance, and that could be a real problem.
Right. You've got some of those FAANG stocks that they're stalled, and some that are doing better. But it's not. I'm not giant up move. So that's knowing that, everybody, you should probably go out and buy hand over fist.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I'm going to share.
You take it.
Okay, I shall. I'm going to share 3 diamonds of the week for us here. All right, so the first one I'm going to talk about, and this was one that we last Friday in the Diamond Mine for my DP Diamond subscribers, our trading room, we were looking at what areas that we should concentrate on going into this week. And really healthcare and technology were looking pretty good, and it was a tie for me. It was really hard to pick which sector to go with, but my sense was that technology, while it's going to do well this week, it's probably not going to continue to do well. So I liked the idea of the healthcare. And then it turned out that medical devices, supplies, that area had some really nice improvement going on. I'll show you that on one of the next charts. But at this point, I mean, IHI is today, it really executed this double bottom that we had here. And the PMO had just, recently had that buy signal. And you can see that the scooter has improved quite a bit. And then it's really performing well against the S&P 500 right now. And it just, to me, is poised to do a bit better. The healthcare sector tends to be a bit more defensive. So if we do see the market start to turn over, we hopefully won't see that much going on in this particular area. So in that area, and this one, granted, has been on a run. And I do like to try and get them when they're just showing new momentum, but it is a somewhat new buy signal. And we did today close at an all-time high, it appears right there. So, I think this one, we've got the breakout. We were looking at those other FAANG stocks, and a lot of them are coming up against overhead resistance, but they haven't broken it yet. And it looks like ISRG is ready to do that. And it is in that industry group that I'm really interested in right now. Notice that industry group right here, the outperformance that has started over the last week and a half. So pretty nice looking chart. And then I have one more for us. And this was kind of a new one. It came up on my scan today. I wanted to give you a brand new look. And this one really came out and caught me when I saw the candle glance of this particular one. You have a pretty long flag, big flag formation here. We had already started to bounce off of that 50-day. We've now gotten above the 20. The 5-day has crossed above the 20-day EMA. We're seeing new momentum here as far as the PMO. It hasn't crossed over yet, but it looks like it is getting ready to. What I'd like to see, and I'm not seeing here, is OBV rising bottoms. Since we hit that bottom, we don't have that. So it's not a perfect chart. Would like to see more volume coming in on the buy side when you've got a rally going on like that. But you can see that it is outperforming the S&P, it's outperforming its group, and there you go. The group itself is just now starting to outperform. So again, trying to find that new strength in the market, and I really do like this particular stock. Specialty retailers, it looks like we're getting a little bit of movement here to the upside, like I said, relatively. And that's always a good thing as well. So I like this one. I'm going to make O'Reilly Automotive my diamond of the week. And like I said, really great breakout here. More than likely, we might find a buy point that looks pretty good here. So let me put this in here just since we have a minute left or two. So for those of you who haven't been in my trading room, this is kind of the style that I do. I look at a daily chart, and then I determine if it's something I like or not. And if I like it, I want to time my entry. I want to get in at the right time. And the way that I do that is using our 5-minute PMO. Very new, something I recently have discovered doing these trading rooms, and it's just a great tool. So what I wait for are positive crossovers and a positive RSI, and that gives you your buy points. Right now, it came in here at about 548, but you can see the PMO has turned over and the RSI has gotten negative. So I think you're going to find a better buy point coming in the future. And that, so we'll wait for a bit of a pullback, and that should help you with timing. I think these 5-minute candles are really helpful to time those entries. It can sometimes get you an extra 0.5% on the day if you've got the time to watch them. But I think if you're getting into a stock, it's a great place to be. All right, that concludes our show for today. On behalf of Carl and I, we wish you a great week and happy trading.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.